Oh, when you're gone.
We left on Friday. We got back on the following Monday. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was.
I keep saying I can't even get the fingers.
Yes.
Because you can't make them up.
We've started streaming.
Thank you.
Birmingham
In my,
in Huntsville. Yeah.
Good afternoon. It is 4:30 p.m. So I would like to call to order this meeting of the Evansville Vanderburgh Public Library Board of Trustees for August 11th, 2022. I don't believe we have any visitors present and no correspondence for today. So we'll move directly to consent agenda. Do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion of any of the items from the consent agenda? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. We will move on to governance, and under 5A, we will move on to hearing on the additional appropriation, the proof of the publication. Richard.
Yeah, the affidavit is attached for proof of publication.
Okay, the affidavit is attached for proof of publication. So the secretary has presented the proof of publication notice to the taxpayers on of hearing on the matter of the additional appropriation to be proposed to be made on account of the renovation and improvements to the McCullough location in this form of affidavit of publication in the Evansville Courier and Press. And this was on August 1st, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve the proof of publication as presented by our secretary?
So move.
We have a motion, a second?
second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay, and that passes. The next item on the agenda is the additional appropriation resolution for the general obligation bond. The library is funding this project through the issuance of general obligation bonds. State law requires all governmental units to hold an additional appropriation hearing anytime the government unit will receive dollars which were not included in their annual budget. The bond proceeds are considered to be dollars received outside of the budget, and therefore the library must hold an additional appropriation hearing. Notice of this hearing was advertised as presented by the secretary. I would like to now open the meeting for the public hearing on the use of the bond proceeds for the project. We would entertain any questions or comments from the board or any taxpayers who are present.
Just for the record, can you describe the project? So it's on the record.
Yes, and actually, I'm going to turn that over probably to Heather to describe the project. Thank you.
So the project itself will not impact any of the external footprint of the EVPL McCullough building, nor right now do we expect it to change any part of the parking or the square footage that we own currently either. It will be a renovation inside the building only, specifically moving the meeting room from the south side of the building to the north side of the building where the main wall of windows are, expanding the children's section, adding a teen section, and consolidating staff spaces to make one point of reference and one desk to allow for greater public usage of the space. and to incorporate more small meeting rooms and small study rooms.
Thank you.
And the approximate amount we think that will cost?
We got a very rough estimate of about 4 million, but we do know the price that it will cost. It will be under the non-controlled project threshold of 5.185 million.
And the bonds will be 4 million, right?
Yes, correct. So if it goes above that, we would have to use any of our other funds.
Any additional questions or comments, either from the board or taxpayers who are present?
Do we think the bond will be issued and funds available by the end of the year?
Yes, I believe we're
Yes.
going to try to sell the bonds as quickly as possible. I'm kind of looking at Jason here, just for a nod, and Kristen. Yes, that's what we discussed. So yes, we should have it.
And then the bidding for different parts of the project will be end of the year or beginning of next year. Do we know yet?
So it's our intent to have the Building and Grounds Committee come together, hopefully next week, and then by September to come back with a recommendation on how things move from there. So we have lots of different pieces of discussion.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments during the public hearing session? Once again, any additional questions or comments regarding the additional appropriation hearing? Hearing none, we will close the hearing on the additional appropriation. Thank you. The board now must approve the appropriation of the bond proceeds to be spent on the project costs before any bond money can be expended. Unlike the appropriations of tax dollars, this additional appropriation of bond proceeds is not required to be approved by the Department of Local Government Finance. There is a resolution of additional appropriation in your packet. Do we have a motion to approve that resolution, also known as Exhibit A?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution of the additional appropriation. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution Exhibit A for the additional appropriation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. And then we'll move on to the final bond resolution, which is Exhibit B. Ice Miller, the bond counsel on this general obligation bond of 4 million has been consulted relative to the procedure to be followed in connection with the proposed bond issue and the rendering of an opinion approving the legality of the bonds. The final bond resolution has been approved by Ice Miller and recommended by them for adoption for the purposes of authorizing the issuance of the bonds. This final bond resolution establishes the amount to be borrowed, the maximum term of repayment, and maximum interest rate. It also contains the details about the bonds, such as the form of the bond. The resolution also authorizes the publication of the notice of sale of the bonds and establishes the maximum cost an underwriter or bank may bid for the bonds. It also establishes a bid committee who will award the bonds to the lowest bidder. This resolution also approves the form of master continuing disclosure undertaking and the registrar and paying agent agreement. The Securities and Exchange Commission requires that a library enter into a master continuing disclosure undertaking before it issues bonds. It basically requires that the library agree to annually provide certain types of financial information to the SEC's EMMA database and provide notice of certain material events on a timely basis. Do we have a motion to approve this final bond resolution, Exhibit B?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
A second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
That's a 5-year payback and estimated how much per year?
Lori?
You are, oh, sorry. Lori, I'm happy to answer if you would like,
Sorry,
or
I was making
Lori, you
notes.
can go ahead and answer.
So the first year we would utilize the reserve that we have in our bond interest redemption fund. So we make what,
Was Jason talking? Oh, okay. I thought I was talking. Go ahead.
pipe in anytime, Jason, if I get this wrong.
I thought I saw him like.
So the first year of the 5 years on this particular bond, we would be making a estimated $1.6 million payment. And that would come from the cash we already have on hand in our bond interest and redemption fund. And then the remainder of that bond will be paid back over the next 4 years. And that's what's allowed us to remain tax neutral on our levy for our debt service fund.
How much would this second through fifth year be?
I don't have that estimate yet. Jason, do we have that since we haven't sold the bond yet?
We don't have the final number on that because we haven't sold the bonds.
Sorry, we
but
can't hear you. Just a moment. It's our end, not you.
Yes,
Okay.
not
Okay.
you.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, try now, Jason.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I was trying to answer that first question, Lori. I apologize when you were asking about the term. Yes, it's a 5-year term, and the payments that we are estimating right now, based upon the maximum interest rate for years 2 through 5, are approximately $850,000 each.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion to approve the final bond motion and a second to approve the final bond resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. And our final motion will be to direct our secretary to advertise the sale of the bonds. Do we have a motion to direct our secretary, Mr. Clements, to advertise the sale of the bonds?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of directing our secretary to advertise the sale of the bonds, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. And as Heather alluded, the next step would be for Building and Grounds Committee to meet and make necessary recommendation to bring to the board in September. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. I believe Brett, the ISL Consortium for the E-rate internet access is next on the agenda.
I present this every year. We go through E-rate for our fund. I'll get up here. Sorry, I present this every year. We go through E-rate for our funding for our internet connection. As doing that, we get an 80% discount if we agree to the consortium. That amounts to approximately $73,000 for this year. For next year, it'll be approximately the same. If you agree to join that, it shows the conditions that we have to abide by in the document. We get that discount. And I'm asking that the board agrees to this consortium.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to agree to the library consortium for internet access. Any discussion or questions?
What are the conditions?
Conditions, we have to filter. We have to also agree that we budget,
Filter what?
filter for pornography and like X-rated material. We have to agree to that. We also have to agree to budget
Anything
certain-
else, like based on content besides that?
and that's primarily it, yes, or illegal activity. We filter. We don't want someone to come in here and learn how to make bombs, things like that. But our filtering is very, very minimal. We don't try to do a lot of filtering, very minimal. And we also have to agree to budget the money that we're going to pay for the internet access. Those are the two primary things we have to agree to.
Maybe the question would be, since we've done this for as long as I've been on the board, has being involved in this generated any complaints from our clients?
No, No, like I said, our filter, of course, we have kids in libraries walking around. We can't allow people to surf porn in the front of children. But no, we've not had anybody questioning why are we joining this agreement, and the SEPA requirements are pretty standard. If you want to belong to E-rate and get E-rate money, just like the school corp has SEPA requirements that they follow through E-rate to get funding.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the ISL consortium rate request for E-rate internet access, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Sorry.
And I think, is this one where we have to be sure we sign on the correct side?
Yes, the I sign.
Thank you. And Brett, you're also next on the agenda with the security camera installation proposals.
We had a committee that reviewed our security coverage. Several different people here at Central, which was noted in the memorandum. We received 2 bids. We asked for more than that, but that's all we received. I asked that the board approves this since we went to a request for quote, since it was over a certain dollar amount. So I asked the board approve that we move forward with this purchase of security cameras and installation of security cameras for 8 different locations in the system, all 8 locations.
So do we have a motion to accept this, this recommendation or proposal to accept the quote for the data or the security camera improvements, installation and improvements?
I'll move approval for purposes of discussion.
Okay, so we move to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Now discussion.
So is this for cameras alone and their installation? They're going to ride on existing infrastructure, recording equipment?
That's right. We already have the server equipment and the recording equipment, which is actually one server for the software, another server for the storage.
Is
And
that
our-
centralized for all the locations?
Yes,
All
it's-
housed in one place?
Yes, it's housed here at Central in the data center. That's correct.
And who all has access to that video?
There's very limited access. We have police officer here at Central. We have Heather Scott, head of security here at Central. And the branch managers have very limited access, which is just a view-only access. So we can control who has read-only and who has playback capabilities, which is something we really limit, playback capabilities.
And what is and this is more out of curiosity than anything, what is your recorded retention?
It's 30 days.
30 days?
Yes, and unless there's an incident that we question, like a potential fall or something, we keep that just in case for insurance purposes. If someone comes back, we go ahead and pull that in case it's past the 30 days. There's a question about it.
And why do we want to spend $8,000 more than the other bid?
The other vendor's bid, yeah, it was less. When they submitted the bid, we did a walkthrough, both vendors did a walkthrough, and we showed where we need the cameras and the coverage areas. Many of their cameras, the vendor's bid that was lower, did not give a model number. So I couldn't tell what specs the cameras were to do a comparison, like megapixel and where they were the appropriate camera for outside viewing. They also did not specify on any of the cameras what area they were covering with those particular cameras, which is very important. When I look at the quote, I want to make sure they quoted the camera that had the proper viewing angle, the proper megapixel. So they did not have that information. They also left off for outside cameras, surge suppression for potential lightning strikes, which can cause a major issue to our equipment if that occurs. They left that off. So even though their quote was left, they left off some key things if they would add, but they missed so much. I mean, we're talking most of the cameras didn't have a model number. A lot of them didn't. No surge protection. They didn't list any detail of mounting hardware or mounting brackets, which is also an itemized cost that adds up. And from me reviewing the quote, that's how it came out cheaper, and there wasn't enough information to say, oh, it's a comparable quote. They left out too much, just not one or two little items.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does Data Link provide, who provides the maintenance on our existing equipment?
The maintenance, when we buy these cameras, the access cameras have a 5-year warranty built in. And
But
on
like,
this,
if we have a problem with the system that's running the cameras, the recording, who would we call to come fix that?
we would call them, but we fix a lot of problems internally. We can, once these are installed, if the camera's out of warranty, we can mount the camera and put a new camera up. This is such a big project. We need an outside vendor, but if something's really technical, we aren't security camera vendors. Yes, we will call Data Link or call Milestone. Milestone is the software provider for the camera software. And with this quote, there'll be a year's worth of maintenance on all these cameras for support on this particular group. But we've tried to be self-sufficient. We've had security cameras here ever since the building was opened in 2004 to do as much as we can on our own.
I'm supportive of that.
Okay.
No. So you're basically telling us that Data Link was the most responsive and responsible respondent to your request for quotes.
Yes, yes.
Any other questions? Discussion? Hearing-
Yeah, quick question.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
On the cameras that, the new cameras or any of the ones that are existing, do you have the ability to adjust those or move those from central location if you need to? Or are they fixed cameras?
You mean unmount them and mount them somewhere
No, I
else?
mean, move them on a gimbal and look around,
They have a digital pan, tilt and zoom.
just digital.
It's a digital pan, tilt and zoom, and it's not used very often because if someone starts doing that and moves it out of the area that it normally covers and leaves it there, then it can become an issue. But it can be used just for a short period of time if you're wanting to look at something. But it is a digital pan, tilt and zoom. Yes.
Any further questions?
Yeah, one more question. Just, you said you got this because it was over the limit. What's the limit we look at?
What do you mean by over the limit? I'm
You had to
sorry.
get an RFP
Oh.
because it was more than so many dollars. What was the dollar you had to go to?
The dollar amount is 50,000.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the motion for accepting the Data Link proposal, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. All right, Lori, furniture, equipment, and surplus.
So this is the first time that we've had enough surplus to bring to the board this year for 2022. And at this point in time, we're still under the number of items that are damaged or have no value left in them, or they're just obsolete as far as equipment is concerned. They all are less than $1,000 per item in value, and the total is less than $5,000, qualifying the disposal property at public or sale event. So without advertising in accordance with Indiana Code 52222, we present the list in the board book packet. The only couple items that had any value whatsoever were a few pieces of wood furniture, and we'll hold those in as we collect additional disposal items. And if approved to turn over to the EVPL Foundation, they'll likely look at having another type of online auction in the future. All of the items, again, that are electronic based are wiped clean before we recycle, and that's what we do with anything that has zero value. So we would request the board declare the list of items as surplus and allow the EVPL Foundation to dispose of them as appropriate.
So moved.
We have a-
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
I'm struggling. What did we use coin changers for?
Print the printers, the public printers, so that they can use, we actually just replaced them and they now accept cards as well. So
I was
And they were-
struggling to figure out where that one was.
12 years old, the old ones are 12 years old.
The coin changers in the recycle list were installed in 2004 when we first went to that system. And as Lori said, they got replaced with new coin changers that have a credit card reader too.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of accepting the motion to declare the item surplus and allowing the foundation to dispose of appropriate items, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, next on the list is consulting services for the classification and compensation study. Lisa.
In 2012, EVPL contracted with Springstead Incorporation to conduct a complete classification and compensation study resulting in the current compensation plan. In 2018, Mercer reviewed 28 of those positions, which included adjusting pay ranges to several of those positions. EVPL would like to contract with a consultant to conduct a complete review of all positions and a market compensation study in order to ascertain that EVPL is paying a fair and competitive wage in comparison to other library systems our size, local governments, and private industry. With these objectives in place, a request for proposal was sent to 12 consultant firms. The consulting organization EVPL would like to recommend for hire is in NFP with corporate offices in Indianapolis, Indiana. NFP has extensive experience working with nonprofits, local government, municipalities, and libraries. The total cost for the study will be $60,000 and will be paid from the strategic priorities budget line. Once the study is complete, NFP will make wage recommendations in order to ensure wage equity. Upon board approval, EVPL will work with NFP to set a start date and time frame for the work. Implementation of wage change recommendations should be included in the 2024 budgeting, but actual dates will be determined by implementation plan approval by the board. Proposal is to request the board to approve conducting a role descriptions, comprehensive classification, and compensation study as described and accepting the NFP proposal in response to the EVPL RFP for the study.
Do we have a motion to accept the proposal as presented?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do have a couple of questions. Read through this and thank you, Lisa, for presenting it.
You're welcome.
I just want to make sure that I understand what we're voting on here. We're voting on them doing the study. And if that study indicates that wages need to be changed, we would then look at that timeline and look at those changes and vote on it at a later date, right?
Correct. They will be presenting it to the board once it's complete with the recommendations. As I think it was mentioned before, we might not be able to do everything up to where they feel like we should be within 2024. We might have to do steps, but they will also come to you with those options.
Right.
They will have an implementation plan that they present, and it could take years for us to get to where we need to be.
Okay,
Correct.
and I think that this was answered earlier because I remember there being some discussion about doing this again. But the $60,000 from the line item, that was placed in the budget this year to do this, right? I thought so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Couple questions.
Yes.
Of the 12 firms, were there any local Evansville area firms that were solicited?
No.
Is it the question we don't have any, or?
There was only 2 that was presented to us, only 2 different firms. And we actually had to send a second request out. So we had sent the original, we received no responses, and then we did send out a second one.
What is the full-time head count?
Full-time head count is 126. Mhm.
So is this a different firm than the one that we had years ago? We did it. Someone different.
Correct. We had Springstead back in 2012 and approximately 2006, 2007, we had Plant and Moran.
If the headcount's 126, what's the FTE?
We have approximately 67 part-time people as well. But then we also have an additional currently 26 security but those only calculate up to approximately 6.5 full-time positions, which we are looking at possibly being able to reduce those amounts. So we don't really count those 23 positions into, because some of them work 5 hours a month, or some of them work, 25 hours in a month. So I would have to give you the exact FTE at this point. And those are budgeted positions. Those aren't currently what we have filled, because we have, some open positions, but you're welcome.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting the conducting the role description and comprehensive classification and compensation study and accepting the NFP proposal, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Lisa, very much. Lori, ready for budget?
Thank you. So in your packet, and also sent out a week ago today, is the proposed budgets for 2023 for our first reading this afternoon. And what I would like to first do is just kind of make a couple notes of our budget calendar that has been revised or updated. We have a date now with the DLGF representative to do our budget workshop, in which they review our proposal, make sure that we're doing everything correctly, and also calculating our levy requests correctly. That is next Monday, August the 15th. And then I'd also draw your attention to the next 2 meetings of this board, which is September 8th, which is be the public hearing of our proposed budgets, and then October 13th, which is where you would adopt our budget for 2023. Those are both critical dates that we have to have a quorum in order to pass a budget so we can move forward with 2023. The next document that was provided to you is a comparison of our 2022 budget to 2023. And that's where I'm going to spend a little bit of the time this afternoon talking about the narrative of how we're moving forward from 2022 to 2023. You'll note that we had significantly increased our library improvement reserve fund, our LRF fund, as well as our rainy day fund for 2022. That was in part due to the fact that we had the general obligation bond roll off at the end of, or during the middle of 2021. And so we wanted to make sure that we didn't lose the ability to spend dollars, and neither of these funds are levy driven funds. So we wanted to make sure that we're utilizing our reserves that we had on hand for any projects, and or to get ahead of, as we were completing the master facilities plans, get ahead of the schedule, and so that we could accomplish as much as possible in 2022. So for 2023, with the approval of the bond, $4 million general obligation bond, as I mentioned earlier, we will have a one-time heavy payment the first year, which is $1.6 million, and that's added to the last of the 2011 and 2013 series leasing corporation bonds that we have to repay. So that increased our BIRF, or our bond interest and redemption fund, by 54%. And that then would cause us to have to back down and reduce our LRF and our rainy day funds for 2023. And so that's why you'll see some significant numbers on that comparison chart, where we're reducing our library improvement reserve fund by 61% and rainy day by half of what we had for 2022. And that allows us to make that one lump sum payment in our first year of 2023 for the general obligation bond. 2024, we'll get back on to more of an even keel, because we'll be looking at it from the perspective of continuing that 3.77 cent tax levy rate, and that will then go back to the 850,000 approximate payments on the general obligation bond per year. So overall, with the proposed budget from Willard, who is classified as a special library fund for levying purposes, we have an overall percentage of increase of 4.78%, which is underneath the 5% maximum levy and budget growth quotient for the year. Any questions before I go on?
I do have one question.
Yes.
If I'm following you, if these BIRF LERF and rainy day are not levy driven, then,
Bond interest redemption is, that's the 3.77 cent levy.
okay,
So the library operating fund, the bond interest and redemption fund, and the special library, which is Willard. Those three funds are what are tax levy.
okay, so then on LERF and rainy day, is some of the decrease in there a transfer?
No, so we're talking the difference of a budget versus cash on hand, and they're not the same thing. So we currently, as we'll talk about briefly during the investment report, we have reserves on hand for both LERF and rainy day. And we've built those over the last years, and they more than cover what is being budgeted for it on a year-to-year basis.
Gotcha. Thanks.
No, we've been planning for this year to happen, knowing that we would have to reduce those funds for when we rebonded. Because of the one-time payment, we were planning to stay tax neutral on the bond redemption fund.
And then the other documents that were in your packet are just a detailing of the budget per fund, the library operating fund, which based on our ability for all 5 funds to increase by that maximum of 5%, only allowed us to increase the operating fund by 0.5% for 2023. And again, in 2022, we've utilized what we got in the appropriation budget to purchase some of the furniture and equipment and do some larger facilities maintenance projects that might have come later, but we wanted to go ahead and get them done before we started bonding for the master building plan projects. The information that's included in the packet for the Library Improvement Reserve Fund is a basis of the current year, and then the actual proposed budgets at the bottom. So you can see that of that original budget for the LERF account, which was $650,000. We haven't spent a lot of that as of the first half of the year, but we have a lot of things that are on order or in the process of being ordered that we've gotten quotes from since the end of June. And that will still leave us with about $130,000 in the 2022 budget of LERF to spend. And leaving us with an estimated cash and investment balance of $1,500,000 for the next year. The rainy day fund, it as well had a large budget for the year 2022, $700,000. We have not spent much of it as of yet either. We were holding off on earmarking a lot of that money until we found out how much the parking garage and plaza repairs and waterproofing were going to cost us, because we were unsure what that outcome might be. So now that we have gotten approval to work with Browning Chapman and accepted their bid, that's included in the expenditures there in the middle of the page. And so we still have a significant amount of money, $400,000 to utilize. We've already started moving forward on gathering quotes for a variety of projects, including repairs and cleaning and sealing of the wood exterior facade of both North Park and Oak Glen. We have some tuck pointing and some other sealing that we need to do at east and west up on the rooftops. And so we just got those quotes in, and the 2 of those combined are about $50,000. So we have some significant projects coming forward that we'll be using the remainder of that rainy day fund for. And then the last document in your packet is the proposed budget of Willard Library that has been approved and submitted by their board of directors at a 5% increase. It's hard for them to not increase their operating fund because they don't have any other funds other than a couple of endowments that they utilize for that have been given to them for specific purposes. So they don't have a LERF rainy day or other funds that they can utilize to cover their operations. Any questions about the proposed budget as first read?
Thank you, Lori. Now that's a lot of time and energy into preparing a budget for an organization this size. Lori, we'll move on to you for report of appropriations.
So as of the end of July, our appropriation balance is $7,930,969, or 53% of the budget is remaining. Again, we have some significant projects that are coming up that have not been taken out of this yet. And it also does not include the invoices that were presented for today's board meeting for approval. The other key items are the $60,000 that will come out of strategic priorities for the compensation and classification study. And then the other item would be our transfer to LERF, which helps, that's what helps offset our budgets from year to year.
Any questions? All right, the report of investments.
So the report of investments might look a little different to you this month. One of the things that we have been trying to implement and utilize are some internal controls and also some additional documentation for the board to review as we continue to educate ourselves through the State Board of Accountant, DLGF workshops and seminars. And so we have added, so you can see how the difference in each month, our balances are changing. And the withdrawals are a 24-hour ACH transfer. And that's one of the reasons why we like to invest in the state investment pool of Trust Indiana, because of the liquidity and the fast turnaround that we can move this money, and the fact that our regular checking account does not earn interest.
Is it a sweep that it sweeps out any?
We have
excess
to go
balance?
in and request a withdrawal, and then it automatically ACHs the money into our bank account,
Okay.
our checking
Okay,
account.
so it's residing there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it resides in their pool of money, and then they invest it on their end. And so their three main goals are safety, liquidity, and then yield is their third. So they're looking for safety and liquidity first and foremost. So our four accounts or four funds that we hold with Trust Indiana for the end of July 31st, 2022 is $15,611,800. The average daily yield for July was 1.2094%, or up 0.4 of a point. And the average daily yield year to date was 0.4056, or up 0.1, a little over 0.1 for the month. So continues to go up each month.
Thank you, Lori. All right, approval of bills, treasurer, Mr. Thomas.
It's I move for approval for invoices dated July 13th of 2022 through August 11th for $349,488.93, and for payroll from July 1st through July 29th for $908,411.62.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting the approval of bills as moved, signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. Thank you. Other business. Any other business to come before the board? No. All right, any announcements?
I did notice an email this afternoon with the list of I haven't had a chance to look at it, but thank you.
I have a copy if you'd like to look at it now.
Look at it at home, but I just didn't get to it today.
I just want to give a shout out to Lori for impeccable reporting. It's always clear for novices like me. It's not my forte. But it's just, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the constituents of this county for all the work that the two of you do, especially you.
Yes. Also, I mean, with other business, it was in the director's report, but I would like to say that the book sale was a huge success. I think, once those final numbers are in, the president of the foundation sent some preliminary numbers, look like about $20,000 after everything's taken out.
Approximately.
For the last few years, since I've been involved with that book sale, I've never seen that many people there. It was like some of the old days when I used to be a patron of the book sale, and it was crowded. People are waiting at the doors, they flood in and they stay the whole time. There was no real lag, especially on Sunday. A lot of folks were there volunteering, so huge success.
Anything else?
Well, I just thank you. I had no clue what I was getting into. I'm learning how I should say no sometimes. But I'm learning a lot. Most people that know me know I'm very talkative, but I can't talk about something that I don't know. And so I'm learning, and I appreciate your levels of expertise and everybody on the board, because I am learning as I go. So watch out next year.
I have
Any
a
other
quick
comments?
announcement, and then Scott probably has a couple. I just wanted to let the board know that we've been contacted by the State Board of Accounts, and they have commenced our audit examination of the fiscal years 2020 and 2021. They'll be on site next Monday. And they would like to meet with the Finance Committee that was available some point in time next week to do the entrance conference. And then we'll be supplying their sample testing documents and moving forward and crossing our fingers for a good result.
How long do they take usually? 2 days?
They are usually, so they are now required. When the pandemic hit, which was the last time we had an audit examiner in, they did most of it remotely. Now that we're in 2022, they're required, the examiners are required to be on site 2 days of the week. And it usually takes them 2 to 2.5 weeks, depending on any findings that they come across as they're, or if they have to do additional testing while they're here.
All right, Scott, anything else?
Yep, just wanted to remind everyone, next week, we will be having our pre-construction meeting on the parking garage project. So we'll be trying to get more information on timeline, and hopefully be bringing all that information to building and grounds as well. And just echo what everyone else said, I just wanted to thank Lori, the SMG staff, the HR staff for working so hard on putting the budget together and presenting to you all the information that you need to make good decisions. So just want to thank all of them for their hard work, because it's a lot of work to put together a budget like this and to have these conversations. And we've been strategizing about this particular budget for a number of years because of the bonding portion of it and how we're going to work everything in, and you know, what projects we're doing, what projects are we moving around and speeding up and slowing down. So all the staff has done a great job on everyone from our strategic management team to our administrative team that meets monthly. So been working really hard on this.
All right, anything else to come before the board? All right, hearing none, we will adjourn this August 11th meeting of the Evansville Vanderburgh Public Library Board of Trustees. Thank you all very much.